Folks, the Celtic Nerd here, bringing you another nerdy video. And I'm actually, you might notice that I still have the One Piece banner up, and that's because we're going to still be talking about One Piece, the live action. However, even though I gave my thoughts of the show, well, early episodes of the show, in the context of a non-One Piece fan, I feel like part of me was still being a little bit biased, and I couldn't help but let the fact that I'm already a big One Piece fan slip in. So I am actually joined by 10th Planet. We have a substitute logo for him right there on the thing, but I suggest you do check out his channel. He's also the man who's been helping me with my Ludasport videos. He's the reason why we've been uploading multiple videos whenever we actually do get a chance to actually record some fights.
It's always fun.
Yes. So 10 Planet, you are not a you were not a One Piece fan. This show is essentially your introduction to the whole franchise, correct?
Indeed, indeed.
Okay.
I tried. I remember there was like ads for One Piece, like when Fox Kids. I think that's still going, but like when Fox Kids ran, they would always say, "Oh, watch the new fucking One Piece with Luffy. Is this the end of Luffy?" and all this kind of stuff. Naruto as well. But I could never get into it. I think it was the art style at first. I was like, not my thing. But I could never get into it when I was a kid. So this was a surprise.
Fox Kids. That's just that brings back bloody memories. Like I remember, it wasn't like I remember going to Fox Kids for some like early anime that I got into, particularly Naruto. It was Nickelodeon. Like at like 6 in the morning that I would then go and watch Card Captor Soccer, which I'm currently rewatching, but not the dubbed. I'm watching the English subtitled ones. We're currently on the bit where she's transforming the cards to soccer cards rather than cloud cards. I remember the English opening for that. Like they went really hard into rock, despite it being a show about romance and all that. Like
I don't remember I just remember Card Captors. I did love that show as a kid. I'm not gonna lie. Like that was I loved it.
Then it was then does anyone remember like Channel 7 Sky? It was just called Sky. I think it was called, and it was where you would watch like Malcolm in the Middle and some wrestling.
Sky One.
Sky One, that was it.
Yeah,
Sky One.
Yeah, that's where I found a lot of like my Pokemon and stuff like that. Like they would show on Sky One.
For me, and also Nickelodeon was Yu-Gi-Oh! At 6:30 in the morning, and then it was Zoids on Sky One at 7. For me.
Was Zoids the little ball robot ones, or am I thinking of something else?
No, that's Bakugan. Zoids was this mech one. It's real old. I'll recommend it. The intro to, by the way, the intro music to Zoids was just epic rock music, with then with someone just shouting Zoids over and over again.
Yeah, that sounds like the early 2000s.
But anyway, so we're talking One Piece. So yeah, as stated, you were not a One Piece fan until you've watched this. So
I remember you had told me like all the stuff you told me about the story and like Oda's dedication to like as a writer, like I can absolutely respect Oda, like his dedication to the story and like all that kind of stuff. I think it's amazing.
Well, in all fairness, you were the one that actually gave me the main, like, see, I was one of those One Piece fans that completely written off the live action when I originally heard about it. Except you were very adamant about the fact that Oda was heavily involved with the making of it.
Yeah, because I remember, and because when they were doing the live action Cowboy Bebop, because again, I'm a massive Bebop fan. Like that was like one of my first like proper anime, etc., like Pokemon and stuff like that. So when I found out Netflix was doing a live action adaptation, my first thought was, oh shit! And then I heard that the creator of Cowboy Bebop, he completely distanced himself from Netflix. They said creative differences, which is basically PR speak for I fucking hate what they're doing to my story. So then I was like, oh shit. And then I watched it, and then I kind of wanted to bleach my eyes afterwards, but that's neither here nor there. So when I found out, so with One Piece, even though I'm not a big fan, and I was like, okay, Netflix, they're gonna, it's an anime adaptation, they're gonna make a balls of it. But then I found out that not only is Oda very much heavily involved. He's very outspoken about how closely he's being like in the creative process. I was like, okay, this might actually because if you have because it's like it's like J.K. Rowling with Harry Potter. When the films were coming out, she had a very close like she was like watching over them like a hawk with the creative process and the casting and stuff like that, and they turned out fine. As films, so this made me think, okay, we might have that situation, and and so of course I thought I'd share that with you because I knew how much One Piece meant to you, so I was like, oh, he should know this.
Oh yeah. That's great. Like again, like as I know, Oda is typically hands off, even with the anime and the movies, with the exception that he does. He always asks like, what characters are you bringing in, and what powers are you going to give them? And that's the only time he actually gets involved, is basically whether or not he's going to veto certain things. But like again, like it's a man that started off with a 5-year plan that then fucking spread over 2 decades, and he's always happy to do interviews, and he still even releases what's called SBSs, which is extra lore that we get. Like he does.
Oh, is that in like the cards and stuff like that? That kind of stuff?
I don't know if they released his cards. I'm not sure what the SBSs really are. I just I know that he does these things called SBSs, and he basically answers questions and he gives out some lore, like such as what day is a character's birthday, what's their favorite food. Like
I remember that. Yeah,
and also like explaining some of his inspiration for certain characters. He would even doodle some characters. He drew like the supernovas, which are the rookies, Luffy, Zoro, and all that, as kids. Now he didn't draw Luffy and Zoro as kids because we already knew what they looked like as kids. But he drew like all the other ones, such as a fan favorite, Trafalgar Law, who we then eventually did see as a child in the anime and manga, but also another popular one, Eustace Kid. Tinkering with a toy robot.
Okay.
Which is funny considering he has the magnetism through.
Oh, okay. I don't know if he's come again. I've only watched halfway through the show, so if he comes into it. But...
No. You're depending on the pace of the live action, you're still years off.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
He doesn't show up until like just before the time skip.
Okay. Also, can I also say Eustace Kid? I'm not gonna lie. That sounds like the henchman to a Bond movie. Just Eustace Kid, will you take care of Mr. Bond for me?
He's like all his moves are like punk, whatever. Like like he's all about heavy metal, which I guess comes in handy with the fact that like even his flagship has like this like sort of like dragon figurehead with a cannon come out of its mouth. And his ultimate technique is quite literally he shouts out punk like it was like rail gun, like he basically creates a rail gun out of magnetism, because again that's how rail guns work. They use magnetism to propel things very quickly. So like it's pretty funny that like Oda loves sci-fi stuff and he still manages to squeeze in sci-fi stuff into One Piece and it feels right somehow. So anyway, I have some questions.
Of course.
Costume design. How did you feel about it?
Okay, so we're on production. So I'm gonna say, like right off the bat, like it does feel like okay. I will say some of the costumes I felt okay. They could have done like a little bit of a better job there. Like I will say, I think it was which one was it? Okay, what's his name? The Trunks, is that him? The Luffy's captain friend?
Luffy's captain friend. Usopp.
The guy with the red hair.
Oh, Shanks.
Sorry, Trunks is fucking
Dragon
DBZ.
Ball. Yeah.
You can tell I'm not big into the shonen. my apologies to any Dragon Ball fans out there, but to be fair, you're talking to someone who, at an anime convention, pronounced Levi from Attack on Titan as Levi, because I'd only ever seen the name written down. And I got a bunch of death stares for that one.
Okay. I would give you a death stare as well.
In my defense, like I've only ever seen the name written down because my sister read the manga, and I will say Attack on Titan. The theme is chef's kiss.
Oh
But
god, everyone love. Oh, you have to, folks, and you, Dead Planet, you gotta, you gotta check out Jonathan Young's YouTube channel. He's a singer. He does an amazing cover of the Attack on Titan opening song. He also does a good cover of the songs from My Hero Academia. He's absolutely amazing. Check him out. I will say the only thing I don't like that he does is he also does Disney music covers, which I'm just like,
Oh, I think, did he do a death metal cover of the song from Hunchback of Notre Dame, the one the priest sings?
I avoid his Disney ones.
Oh, fair enough. Because I did hear.
I did listen to his "Make a Man Out of You," and I thought it was funny.
Did you know for the Chinese release, it's Jackie Chan that sings that song?
Interesting. Back to One Piece.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I wanted to just give a shout out because again, like we were talking about, like this, you mentioned the song, had to bring it up. So
fair enough.
Okay, so you felt like they could have done a better job with his design.
I think a little bit. Like again, like for a lot of it, like the costumes were like I have to say, so far my favorite in terms of costume design has been Kuro, the crazy cat man.
Interesting.
I don't know, because it felt very oh god,
unique.
Yeah, it stood out, and I did like the whole thing of like, because the way he fucking resets his glasses is because he's got long fucking claws, so of course he has to do it with the palm. I liked that little detail. That's
fun fact. Nice. In the anime, that's how his first mate recognizes that this man, even though he hasn't been doing any piloting for years, he hasn't lost a beat. He still has that complete instinct to adjust his glasses with his fingers stretched out that way to avoid cutting himself. Like, so I love how they kept that in, even though we don't have the first mate to give us the explanation. Like,
it's a nice piece of visual storytelling, yeah. But yeah, no, I really liked his costume design. What's his name? Buggy. I thought was quite. I actually like him. I like him a lot.
He basically looks like Joker in this adaptation. He looks like the Joker if the Joker was a pirate.
Exactly. I was like, oh, this is this. I kind of want to see a pirate themed DC animated movie now. Yeah, I really liked.
Funny enough, it's funny you mention that. There is apparently there is a comic book issue where there is like a pirate Batman. So maybe there is a pirate Joker.
Oh, I need to read that at some point. But no, I really liked him. The actor that played him, I thought, was fucking spot on for it. He was the perfect kind of crazy.
Yeah, they did go a lot darker with this adaptation as opposed to the manga and anime.
Yeah, I of course for Netflix they're going to go at least a little bit darker anyway. But I did like that. I thought he was an interesting kind of villain. There's also let's see. I think some of the marine costumes, like some of them, I think are good. Like Garb, is that his name? Garb or Garp? Garp. I really like his kind of like this cool kind of admiral kind of looking thing. Like, oh yeah, I'm the top shit man. What's his name? The axe hand guy.
Captain Axan Morgan.
Axan Morgan.
First of hand.
Oh, Axe Hand. Sorry. First of all, I loved his jaw. I thought it was fucking brilliant. But yeah, I thought I could have maybe done a little bit more with his costume. I felt that kind of looked like it came right out of like a school theater play. That's just how I thought about it anyway. But
fair enough.
For the most part, I would say the costumes were pretty good. Like I like sometimes even the simplistic ones, like Luffy, for example. Like his red, his traditional red and the shorts and stuff like that. Like I thought that wouldn't translate well to live action, but it surprisingly does, and I do appreciate that they do give them different styles and different kind of costumes for the occasion, which I actually quite like.
Yeah, it doesn't suffer the issue that most animes have. Like that's the handy thing with the live action adaptations, I will say, is the fact that they can feel free to change their outfits because they're not on like super strict deadlines as opposed to manga and animes.
Yeah, like with manga and anime, it's kind of like it's like Power Rangers. It's uniform. It's how you recognize them, kind of thing.
You always have to wear the same outfit because design them, like coming up with a unique design every single time. Because again, manga and anime tend to go much longer. Now, especially this, I'm only speaking in terms of shonen anime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because smaller animes tend to be okay. They tend to do change up their outfits. The only exception would be actually no, even Card Captor Sakura did it. They changed her battle outfit every single time, but she had a lot of outfits she would wear constantly, and that is mainly just due to the fact that these guys have a week. Most anime company, most manga companies, and even some anime companies, they only give you a week to fucking draw the character. So having something that you can just quickly sketch out, and it becomes like muscle memory, that you can do it that quickly, that's handy. And so like it's no fault to animes or manga artists. Like I really appreciate, and again the fact that they can get shit done, per weekly schedules is absolutely amazing. But at least with the live action adaptations, they had the flexibility to actually, let's change out the outfit a little bit, because they don't have to hand draw everything.
Yeah. So they do kind of give that a little bit of have that bit more freedom with the costume design. And I will say my favorite Luffy outfit so far has been the Kuro. In the mansion, the cool Hawaiian kind of silk shirt. I felt that kind of suited his character quite well.
I liked Zoro being like, just give me something black.
Yeah, I've got to say so far.
And Nami calls them out like, oh, edgy.
Yeah, I love that when she comes out with wearing a black dress. Like, how do I look? He's like, I'm wearing black, and she's like, I hate you both.
Yeah.
That's something I loved immediately. Like the banter back and forth between the three protagonists before Usopp comes into it, of course. It's just so good. It feels so natural.
All right, but before we move on to a different topic, what was it about Shanks' design did you not like?
Oh yeah, shit, that one. I don't know. It just felt a bit too. God, how can I? I'm trying to find the right word. Please forgive me for this.
Simple.
Yeah, it felt a bit too because you're thinking about because even his crew have kind of these cool
wacky,
kind of they stand out a bit more. But with him, really the only thing he had was the hat and the red hair. But I don't know if this is probably an accurate translation to what he looked like in the manga, but or the anime. But I think because he's meant to be the captain, he's meant to be I'm gonna all this thing. But it just felt very basic, I guess would be the only word I can really think of. I think it could have. That's the only one I didn't like. Oh, and I think the cadet uniforms, I think, could maybe do with a bit of a touch up.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, mind you, cadets are just rank and can fodder.
Fair.
So I don't think they're meant and also the normal Marines are not meant to stand out.
Fair.
Now, about costume design, would it surprise you that if I was to say pretty much everyone was spot on in their portrayal in terms of appearance?
Really?
Except for some obvious minor changes such as Usopp's nose.
Oh yeah, but that's there's no way. Okay, I think because I remember you showing me the designs of them. There's no way you could I don't think could it not translate well, but I think
it wouldn't.
It wouldn't look.
Even Boogie's nose looked awkward. With how they tried to make it look bigger.
Is that a clown nose? Oh yeah.
Because in the anime manga, that's he has his nose is a lot flatter and just fatter. It looks like a clown nose. The ball. That's his nose. But I felt like they extended it so that he has a semi-normal nose, but then the tip of his normal nose is the big bulbous clown nose bit.
All right,
which I thought that's okay. That's okay. And again, Boogie's not a main character. He shows up a lot more in the live action adaptation than he did in the manga and anime at that point. But he's not going to be on the screen constantly. You know what I mean? Whereas someone like Usopp, can you imagine having for him to have to wear that type of prosthetic constantly, with the fact that he is a main character once he joins? You know,
I think there's especially for a TV series with well, actually no, apparently they had the same budget as Game of Thrones, so I don't know, maybe they could have, but I think it's one of those things where you make the decision of what would be easier for the actor, and I think that's fair enough. And the fact he's good as the character, I really liked his performance, so I think it doesn't matter, he can look beyond that, I think.
Like it's the same reason why we don't have a green Beast Boy in Titans, is because that actor was allergic to the face, the body paint. Like, because there are early production images of him wearing, him in green, but then it turns out he was allergic. So they're like, you know what, we'll use CGI, but we'll use CGI for when he transforms, and just have him be normal the rest of the time. And again, that's I like it when a production. I like hearing about like the companies actually clearly caring about their actors rather than just seeing them as tools. Like, again, there's a reason why we have an actor strike going on. Well, America has an actor strike going on at the moment, which is getting a lot of support from all over the world. It's now even going to spill into the video game industry, by the way.
I've been seeing those articles come out this morning.
Now, Shanks, the red hair is the main thing that stands out for him, which is why his crew is called the Red Hair Pirates. And his epithet, his nickname, is just Red Hair Shanks.
Fair enough.
He also back during the early stages of One Piece, I felt like they were trying to be a bit more humble with their designs. Now, mind you, as the show went on, the designs got crazier and crazier and crazier. But I feel like Shanks was meant to be because he's one of the few. He's one of the few high-ranking pirates in terms of power that does not have a devil fruit. He's one of the few normal humans. High-ranking humans.
He did kind of tell a gigantic sea snake to fuck off with the power of his mind, but yeah.
That is foreshadowing, and I don't want to go too. I some of the explanations I will go a little bit into, but I'm going to try and keep stuff back in case you do try the manga or anime.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
So I'm trying to keep some information back, and I don't know when they're going to explain his power later on down the line. No, I did talk about it a little bit in my per episode review towards the end, because the second half of my review videos were all about the comparisons to the manga, and during those moments I did talk about future events in terms of the manga and anime, which is sort of safe to talk about because clearly they're going on a completely different story. We're getting very different story beats, because instead of getting the sort of purge, to use my girlfriend's terminology for the Kuro episode, instead of the purge vibes, what was meant to happen, surprisingly, was a mass of pirates were supposed to attack the village. The Black Hat pirate crew was meant to attack. And Zoro and Luffy basically fight them. And then eventually Kuro shows up, and he's not happy that his crew has been keeping them waiting. Also, Kuro's speed. How do you actually? Let's get to let's move on as a great next topic after talking about the costume designs. How did you feel about whenever a special power was being displayed, such as Devil Fruit powers and Kuro's super speed?
Okay, so I'm supposed to go with it in order, I guess, because I think because of course Luffy is the first time we see the Devil Fruit, his stretchy abilities when he's beating the shit out of what's her name, the first pirate.
Alvida.
Alvida, yeah. First of all, she was fun. I hope to God we see her again.
She does come back.
Well, I am happy.
If they follow the manga and anime, she should come back with a completely new look.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that, because I remember when just her introduction alone, I was like, you seem like you're going to be fun. I hope we see you again. Of course, that's where we meet Kobe as well, who I'm really liking his character as well. Very interesting dynamic having he's kind of he's working for the Marines. It's been his dream, but now he's going after his dream. Sorry. But yeah, in terms of revealing them, so of course Boogie, of course, is the first one we see where he's
the chop fruit.
Yeah, and Luffy bonks his head off, and I'm not gonna lie, I had to pause it because I was kind of cackling for a few minutes because I didn't expect just his talking head on a woman's lap.
Sorry, let me interrupt you there. I'm not asking in terms of what did you think of their powers.
That's what I mean, the reveal. Yeah.
I'm asking more about what do you think of the CGI. The effects.
Oh, the effects. Okay. Well, for Boogie, it worked quite well. I think it didn't feel kind of uncanny valley, if that makes sense. Like it felt like it felt nice. I think there are some elements of Luffy's Devil Fruit abilities where I'm just like, oh, they could have spent a bit more time on that. Methinks his headbutt to Kuro, for example, I was like, I'm pretty sure I could have done that in paint. In terms of
Kuro speed, yeah.
Oh, Kuro speed. It's just, I think that's just your basic. That's like a basic effect you can do. Like you can do that with I can do that with like Final Cut if I wanted to, but it worked like for what they wanted out of it. I think it worked really well. Especially for a TV show.
So the only one that really looked more or less sloppy was Luffy's techniques.
Just aspects of them, like when they're doing the quick stuff, like during the fight scenes and stuff like that, like it's grand. But I think when they're doing stuff,
his wind ups are that's when they look terrible. I said, funny enough, I said the exact same thing. I was like, when he does his quick jabs with his Devil Fruit power, like, you know, because like, okay, we do see that it's stretching, but it's so quick, your eyes don't necessarily it's like those scenes where they CGI'd Tarkin in Rogue One. Like when he's on screen for extended periods of time, it looks fake as hell. Even for a movie budget, it looks fake as hell. But when we see him quickly, it was fine.
But it's
just when you have the CGI like for so long on the screen, your eyes will eventually adjust and be like, what we're seeing is fake. Whereas when it's quick, our eyes, you know, can't keep up. You know?
So I think hopefully, like, because I'm guessing they were confirmed for a second season, because I think from what I understand, it's doing quite well.
Okay, I was going to save this for the end, but because you brought that up, would it surprise you to know that One Piece, the first season of One Piece, broke Netflix records for Wednesday and season 4 of Stranger Things?
Really?
It broke records. It's now number 1.
Okay, that's.
I just saw that today.
Especially for a live action adaptation of anime, that is surprising.
They
wow.
broke the curse. Now, mind you, I did get into a bit of debate in one of my reviews with a diehard One Piece fan. But Blaze, Blaze, I did not notice you were in the stream chat. Hello, Blaze. Blaze has been joining me for my streams, and he was actually present during that debate where one person was really ripping hard into One Piece, and I basically was like, hold on, if you're expecting a carbon copy, like, no. And in all fairness, because like he said some stuff that was not factually true, like
kind of like bad faith kind of argument kind of thing.
Yeah, he said that they skipped Luffy, Nami, and Zoro getting together. They were always always traveling together from the start. And I was like, hold on, no, you don't. You see them. You see Luffy actually, you know, recruit. Well, they're not a crew yet. Zoro and Nami is very quick to remind Luffy.
Yeah, I remember when the trailer had come out, there had been a lot of One Piece fans saying, oh my god, why are they saying, oh, we're not a crew? They were always a crew. It's like, okay, first of all, live action adaptation, there's going to be differences. Secondly, especially for a TV show that's going to be into the West, you want to build that up. You want to have that be the character growth and one of the arcs. You know, it's necessary. I get it. It's annoying for fans, but it's one of those things that you have to just kind of go with it. You know,
the only one that actually truly acknowledges that Luffy's his captain is Usopp, which again sort of fits with the Usopp character. Like he is a liar, and he will refer to himself as Captain Usopp. But spoiler alert, he does that all the fucking way through the manga and the anime still. Even after all this time, even after the legendary fight between Luffy and Usopp, he's, even when he came back, he's still like Captain Usopp, and he regales Chopper with stories about like that are quite obviously lies, but then turn out to be true later down the line, such as the giant goldfish.
I remember you mentioned the goldfish because as soon as I was watching his episode, as soon as he brought up the giant goldfish and that he was standing on goldfish shit, I just remember like, that's going to be true later down the line, isn't it? I remember that conversation with you. It was like, oh my god,
well, he doesn't step on goldfish feces, but they do encounter a giant goldfish that two giants then kill, and the giants mention that they thought they were on an island, but it turns out it was the fish's ship. So it wasn't like Uso did not experience the ship bit, but the giant goldfish and the fact that it can apparently poop so big, its poop could be mistaken for islands, was hilarious. Okay, so we talked about the effects. In terms of the world, do you feel like, because now as you can imagine, in these type of senses, exposition, some shows can get bogged down with exposition.
Yeah, a lot of shows can kind of do the tell don't show thing.
Yeah, and some shows do not give enough exposition. How, in terms of, like, let's say out of 10, 0 being there's not enough exposition, like absolutely no exposition, but heavily needed, and 10 being, over explaining shit. Where would this gauge for you? Like, with 5 being the perfect balance.
Okay. Well, keep in mind again, because so far I'm only on episode 5.
Yeah,
I'm not finished yet, but so far I would say the world building has been kind of solid. I would say so far. Like, I've not felt confused. I would say if I had to rank it, maybe. Say for now, maybe an 8. Like, I would say yeah. It's
so
not.
It's explained too much stuff, because remember I said 5 being the perfect.
Oh,
balance.
fine. Sorry, 5 being perfect. Oh, sorry. No, I missed that part. No, I would say it's I would say 5 then. Like, it's. Yeah, I would say it's so far. Like, I've not felt confused by a lot of the world being, like, for example, like after Luffy gets the abilities from the Devil fruit, like the explanation from the bartender. Oh yeah, do you know why it's called the Devil fruit? Because it comes with a cost. The sea will claim your strength if you set foot. I was like, okay, it's very straightforward. It's not over explaining it. It's just basically, this is why it's called this. This is why it has this name. You're fucked if you get into the ocean. And I will say, when it comes to visual storytelling, the means with which they communicate, the weird slug things, I love that. So I do appreciate that the show hasn't gone out of their way to explain them how they work. It's just, this is how they communicate, just accept it, and I love it.
Oh, the Den Mushi. The snails. Yeah.
The snail things are like, I don't need an explanation. This is how the world works.
Funny enough, we don't even get an explanation in the anime.
It's like the 3 seashells.
It was in an SBS that they were explained. And fun fact, actually, I don't think you've. Actually, no, I think you might have been into the scene. Have you seen Nami take out one secretly?
Yeah, the one in your ear. Yeah.
Yeah, that is actually a new addition to the Den Mushi species that was given uniquely to this show.
Oh.
Yeah, normally the small, like very small personal ones, they're normally worn on watches. Like, the watch, it has like a protective cover for them, but then they open it up and then they talk into it. It's they're called black Den Mushis, and it allows for private communication.
Right, because I did like that, because I was, again, going to the visual storytelling. We've seen that they communicate with the bigger ones. Why wouldn't smaller ones exist? Like, it's one of those things where I'm like, it's not confusing. Like, you still feel like you know what's going on. You can follow along with, okay, so this is the rules they've established for the world so far. This is what they can use. This is what they can't do. As long as they don't bring in anything that contradicts that, it should be fine.
Now, here's an interesting question.
Okay.
Now, I follow a big time One Piece YouTuber.
Okay.
He goes. His handle is Teching101.
Okay.
I was watching his little bit of the review. Now, mind you, he loves the live act. Like, he went ape shit in his review. He's like, "Oh my god, they did it! It's so awesome." He had. I haven't finished it, but one of his critiques of episode 1, though, he did bring up he was not a fan of how they did the bounty, like the bounty posters for like Alvida and Boogie and Kuro. He was not a fan of it. Normally in the anime and manga, it would just be a small little box at the bottom of the screen that tells you their bounty and their name.
Yeah.
How did you like the bounty poster flying on screen? Matching, lining up with their face and body perfectly. How did you feel about that?
Genuinely, I kind of liked it. It gave me. Do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Borderlands. Like that's the first thought I got. Yeah, the Borderlands. Whenever you come across like a boss or a character, like
it goes, zooms in on their face.
Yeah.
And they do something that basically defines what their character is.
Exactly, yeah, and it's I quite liked. I felt it was very stylized. I quite liked it. Visually, it's very interesting to look at, especially when you actually have the characters then kind of reacting to it. Yeah, like push them out of the way. It was kind of a nice. It was kind of a nice thing, of course, because it's meant to be like boss introduction kind of thing. So of course they're going to have that element, which I liked. It was kind of It was over the top, but not like to the point where it's annoying. Like it was kind of it was very nice. Like for the world that has been established, it felt very fitting.
Yeah.
The way you describe it I'm sure for how it's done in the manga and anime, I'm sure that works for that level, for that medium. But for live action especially, you want it to stick out a bit more rather than just like a little text box.
I will say, especially given the fact that in the world of One Piece, the bounty system, pirate's bounty is basically a reflection of their power level. Like it's their version of Dragon Ball Z's power level. Now the bounty, it was explained that bounty does not always reflect combat powers, but also just how much of a threat you are to the world government. Based, like for example, there's a character that will come into play eventually down the line. When she was like 8 or 5, she was given a truly massive bounty, not because of her devil fruit power or her combat skills with it, but purely because of what she knew. Like her knowledge was the big threat. Now, mind you, her ability is fucking dangerous as hell, and when you see her use it, dear God, she probably has one of the highest body counts out. Spoiler: it is a straw hat. She does become a straw hat, and in my opinion, she probably has one of the highest body counts out of the straw hats. Just because of the power of her devil fruit and how quickly she has used it to kill people on screen.
Lovely.
But up until that point, though, for the majority of the time, though, bounty points are reflective of combat powers, like how dangerous are you to the World Navy. So I do agree that like having that sort of stylized thing, and again, did you get the impression that's what the bounty system was? It was basically telling you how strong this pirate was.
I think so, because it's giving you a clear view of like their bounties as well, like how much they are worth alive or dead. And of course, you can say like, oh, the higher the number, lower the number. Like, okay, this is going to be a tough challenger. Okay, tough, but not as tough as all the previous guys. But it's just a very nice. I don't know, I liked it. I can understand if a lot of guys and gals that grew up with the manga like an anime might not like it, but I was like, it works for the live action. It works. Yeah,
and it is also, in my opinion, like I understand the whole power level trope is a bit because of Dragon Ball. People are done with it, but at the same time, it is sort of important to get a quick sense of how much danger is our protagonist in.
Absolutely, and I think as well, like even with the bounty aside as well, I think the show kind of the live action anyway does a good job of establishing that through visual storytelling. Again, with Boogie, you already kind of get a sense he is just on top of being a psychotic, weird little fucking clown man, he isn't someone you want to get on the bad side of, because he uses trickery and stuff like that to get the upper hand, and then when it's revealed that he can split himself apart, that's where you're like, okay, this isn't just going to be a simple punch him in the face and see what happens kind of thing. And then of course with Kuro, like he's like claws and super speed, and it's
and clearly his patience and planning, I would say.
He like anime trope, never trust someone with glasses that always likes to reset them. They're more than likely always going to have something going on.
Oh yeah, oh god, yes, Aizen from Bleach is a great example of that. Oh, mind you, he eventually takes off his glasses permanently, but like still though. Oh, Aizen, the man of fucking 5D chess. I will say, Aizen, like out of all the antagonists in Bleach, Aizen is by far was my favorite. Not because of his sheer power or like his determination, like wanting to master every goddamn skill that was available to a Soul Reaper, and then eventually try and go even beyond that. It was just his scheming that I loved. Like when he's explaining to you. When he's going over his plan, like, oh yeah, I faked my death, I had to kill the government, and then there was always at least one of me or my allies within this building. We have a comment from Blaze. Well, all the time gaming about, and yes, glasses in anime is scheming my mind right now. Yes, but like I loved how like again, like I just love like the intelligent characters. Like so, since we talked about how the bounties are basically their power levels and how you felt about it, let's get into the combat, the choreography of combat.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, how did you feel about that overall?
In terms of the action sequence, like the fights and choreography, really entertaining. Like usually nowadays, especially with action movies, like there's always like too many jump cuts and the camera shaking.
Yeah,
you don't know what the fuck's going on.
Which is why John Wick and Kingsman was such a big revelation.
Absolutely, they brought back that standard. Which, as much as I love the Bourne movies, I think they're like one of the main reasons we have those fight styles now, because they had the shaky cam, but still good trilogy. But anyway, the choreography fights, like the main fight in Shelltown, is that what it's called?
Shelltown. That's the one with Axan Morgan, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah. When they're breaking into the marine facility to get the map, I felt that entire fight sequence was really well done. Particularly when.
How did you feel about Luffy and Zoro's coordination?
I loved it. It was like again, it's you know where the characters are. You know, kind of how do I put it? Like you're not confused about the directions. You can easily tell which characters which, like who's going to be coming from where, that kind of stuff. And they do balance each other out quite well in that fight, which I felt like there's no kind of no one is overshadowing the other, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I did. Like also on that note, like I personally enjoyed the fact that like they did in some situations get in each other's way. Like it's not 100% flawless.
Yeah, exactly. Because of course this is their first meeting. They're not going to be like perfectly in sync with fighting and stuff like that.
But they're also both naturally gifted fighters. That there is some level of like, okay, like I can see what this guy's doing. There is some level of complementing each other, like fighting on instinct.
Exactly, yeah.
But at the same time, that will only get you so far without actual practice.
That's very true. And it isn't until they start communicating, like, okay, you go high, I go low. Like, okay, now they're going to start kicking ass.
Yeah, that's when it became flawless. Now, I'm sure even a novice of One Piece like you would understand something about Zoro.
I mean, the fact he has 3 swords and carries one of them in his mouth.
Yes. So okay. So you are. I suppose like any anime fan, like knows about Zoro and his unique fighting style.
I have come across images of him like with the sword in his mouth before. Yeah, I was like, okay, that kind of looks interesting, if not a bit dangerous.
Yeah. Now, ignoring the mistake that they made in that fight when he first puts the sword in his mouth, because I'm not sure if you noticed, I did, that he had the blade backwards. The sharp end was pointing in the wrong direction.
When it's point and he's using it to point it at your man's neck in the end, which I thought was fucking cool. But
but initially he fought with it backwards.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't.
It was blunt edge towards the opponent.
Oh, I missed that. That could have just been easily a production mistake, because they clearly wanted the fight to end with that blade at his neck, kind of thing.
Okay, all subsequent fights after that. How did you feel about Zoro's fights?
I really liked them because, again, I'm a sucker for, because of course, as you well know, because we're both part of it, but I'm a sucker for sword fights. And so whenever I'm watching a movie, like, I want the choreography to be good. It has to be like, you have to understand. It can be easy to see, like you know, as simplistic as it is. Like, I love the sword fighting in Princess Bride. So seeing choreography in this, I thought was quite well. Like, again, like when he's fighting with the three swords, which I will say just on side note, the build up to that I quite like when Luffy's like, where does he put that other sword anyway? And then he puts it in his mouth, and Luffy's just like, I thought that was great. But the fighting with it in general, I thought was great. Like, again, the Kuro episode, he's fighting the two underlings. I thought that was such a fun fight. Actually, because it's in that big foyer with the stairs, I kind of got like Matrix Reloaded vibes off of him. Neo fighting all the guys with swords. But,
okay, fair enough.
Like, I quite liked the choreography in that regard.
And also, sorry, those two underlings are a good example of what like fighting with someone that you clearly are partners with could actually look like, because those two really fought well together. Like
absolutely.
You could feel the experience of teaming up.
It wasn't like the typical trope you see in an action film where like they're all waiting for their chance to get in. No, they were both just getting in there, which I appreciate.
One was clearly the powerhouse, and like, well, the other more agile one would often retreat behind. Like, that's what I liked. The girl, she often retreated behind the bigger guy, like
just to allow him to deliver the heavy hits, and then she'd go out and try and grab the swords and stuff like that.
Or attack from behind him, in a different angle. Like, she would often she would either jump over him or around him, like,
Exactly.
Because he's so big and she's so small, it does create an element of like, you're not going to know where she's going to strike from. But yeah, so I have to ask, were you disappointed at all in his fight with Boogie the Clown, who is a powerful pirate captain who has a devil fruit, and with his fight against those two underlings? Were you at all disappointed that he did not take out his third sword?
No, not really, because I felt for the situation at hand, I think a third sword isn't going to really solve anything. The man can split himself apart. I think, regardless of how many swords you have to, as they do eventually, no pun intended, but they do think outside the box to defeat him. But I will say, like, I get it. They have to find a way to write him being defeated. But I was like, if I was Boogie, like, as soon as I saw them putting my pieces inside a box, why would I continue fighting after that point? You're like, fuck, I've got the map. They're starting to find a way to beat me. I'm just gonna reassemble what limbs I have and bugger off.
Well, then what would happen then to the rest of your body?
It's a fair point.
Would you really risk never being able to reassemble your body again?
That's a fair point, actually.
But okay, fair enough.
But I did. But yeah, no. I think it's one of those things where like for Axe Hand, like that's a scenario where the three swords was kind of necessary. The lad was a powerhouse with a literal axe for a hand. Boogie, again, he can tear himself apart.
Slashing is really useless to him.
Yeah. There's so much he can do.
What about the fight with the two underlings? With him being outnumbered, would it not have been best for him to take up his strongest fighting style?
I'm not gonna lie, I expected him to at first, like when he took the sword out of the cabinet. Yeah, I was expecting to do it again, but then he put it back in. I was like, okay. But I think I didn't mind it because I was like, okay, bit of a subversion. Maybe he's like, I can still beat them. I don't need to use my ultimate yet, and of course he got through it eventually.
Okay.
Also, you could argue more so like behind the scenes, like there's maybe like only some, especially because like it's such a small environment, having the actor or a stunt double running around with a sword in his mouth might not might not be the safest thing in that environment.
Okay.
Um,
On that note, would it interest you to know
hmm.
that 95% or higher percent of the time when Zoro fights, it is with Tree Sword style?
Oh, in the manga and anime.
Yep.
Oh,
Over 95. I will say 95 is me lowballing it. He fights with all tree swords. He only fights with non-tree swords when he has no choice. For example, he does use tree sword style against Buggy initially, chops him to fucking smithereens, then gets stabbed in the back by Buggy because like he thought Buggy was dead. But then Buggy, again, as you said, Buggy will fight dirty.
yeah.
Buggy is very quick to stab him in the back. And then afterwards, he then Zoro's fight is then with his lieutenant, which is the unicyclist, who's also a swordsman, who fights on the tricycle. He fights Zoro on the tricycle, and they're semi equally matched. Because Zoro's injured. He has all these cool acrobatic techniques with the unicycle as well, like, and then continuing on. I'm not going to get too far ahead, but then with the fight with the two underlings, who he does fight instead of fighting Kuro, he initially fights them with one sword because the smaller cat person stole the other two before he could draw them.
Ah, okay.
And it wasn't, and he was actually losing that fight. He was forced to fight defensively, and he was barely holding them back until Nami kicks his swords over to him. Which there is a brief moment where he's like, "Don't fucking kick my swords!" But then he jumps up into the air, catches them, and then before he even lands, he quickly puts the sword in his mouth and draws the other one.
Yeah.
And then that's when he actually starts winning against them. So he was actually losing because again, if you're fighting in a way that you're not used to fighting, you're going to lose. Like we, as both members of Lewisport, like when you're okay, as far as you only know the one form, but you will quickly would you say you'll be able to fight as well as you did with Form 2 when you start studying it?
Probably, maybe a little bit. I'm sure I'll flub it up a few times, but
So you're saying you would fight with Form 2 as well as you fight with Form 1 straight away?
Oh no! Straight away, no. Sorry, I
Yeah.
misunderstood the question. No, straight away I'd be fucked.
Exactly. It's not your strongest fighting style. It's not the one that you're used to.
No.
And again, even maybe Form 2 will be your favorite, and you'll become more comfortable with it as opposed to Form 1. But again, it's like what I mentioned to people in the tournaments. Like people fall back to Form 1 because it's where they feel most comfortable, despite their what forms they know. So, yeah, in the fight, Zoro, there's a big power difference between Zoro with one sword than Zoro with three. But we'll talk more. Also, folks, this is only going to be part one of the interview. We will do another interview when Ten Planet finishes watching the last 4 episodes.
Yeah, I was supposed to start them yesterday, but I was also seeing Oppenheimer that day as well, and that's a 3-hour film, so I needed to mentally prepare myself. I would say, just on a side note, go see it. It's a good movie.
I wouldn't, because it's not, those type of movies are not my cup of tea.
Fair.
I'm more of the proper fiction type stuff. I'm not a big fan of
biopics and stuff like that.
Yeah, films based on history.
I can respect that.
Mind you, fantasy history is a different story, like Troy and 300.
Oh, absolutely. I still need to see 300.
Really? Oh god. Anyway.
Yeah.
We talked about choreography in terms of combat. We talked about combat design. We talked about not combat design, costume design. We talked about world building. We've discussed also special effects. We haven't talked about this. and this will be our final topic. We don't have much to discuss given the fact that they're only 4 episodes in.
Yeah.
How did you feel about casting and performance?
Oh, okay. In terms of casting, I quite like him. Like again, the actor they got to play Luffy, I think I can see why Oda chose him. He was like, "Yep, nailed it." So I think so far, I think I have the actor is a strong part as well. I would say Zoro is my favorite. I think the actor pulled him off quite well. Nami as well.
Okay, since it's mostly positive, is there anyone that you feel like they may have casted the wrong person, or is there anyone that you feel like is not the best performer?
Just trying to go over everyone in my head so far. Okay.
Now, if there is no one, feel free to say that. Like,
no, I'm just going over because again, it's like 4 episodes in a single morning. I'm trying to get over it. Go over it. Well, it's a day so far. I'd have to say. So far, no, they're all giving solid performances. Like again, like I can't really say to like if they're giving like justice to the portrayals of the characters from the manga. But in terms of performance, they're grand. In terms of performance, I haven't found like a weak actor yet. But again, the day is still young.
And with what you saw of the character, you feel like the actor is like, in your interpretation, because of their performance, is it safe to say that pretty much everyone was correctly casted?
In terms of like acting ability, yes. Again, I can't say to the actual portrayals of the characters. I'll leave that to you guys. But I'm not unhappy with the casting. Like I do quite like them all. Like they have, again, the chemistry back and forth is great. None of them have really, especially again for Luffy, especially because of course he's the protagonist. You need a strong performance for that. He does a good job.
Actually, here's an interesting scenario. You did not like Shanks's simplistic design, but how did you feel about his actor?
Liked him.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, it's that kind of again, you can see where Luffy's influence for his idea of a pirate comes from. Like he's like, because everyone tells us like, oh, pirates they pillage and all that. It's like, I'm just a different kind of pirate. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like it's a very much instance where he is used, and again, like I have seen people criticize like what I've seen fans of, even like these are people who criticize the manga and anime. Like, why wasn't Luffy exposed to other types of pirates? Later down the lot, like why was Shanks his only influence, like, and to the point where Shanks was the only one that really influenced his viewpoint as what a pirate should be.
But of course we do see him, especially in this show. I don't know if they do it in the manga or the anime, but of course in this show he does kind of come across other pirate, like the pirate that tried to kidnap him.
Fun fact, sorry, it wasn't brought up in the live action, but I'm not sure if you could. It's hard to tell by, again, because Shanks has a simplistic design, and there's a reason why that guy was on a rowboat. He's not a pirate. That's why. That's why he took Luffy on a rowboat instead of an actual ship. I
thought he was heading towards his ship. Oh, okay.
No. Because if you notice, he's going out to open water.
Oh, okay.
Think about it. Not like, think about the creature that we saw. How deep that creature must be in.
Okay, then.
That guy was a mountain bandit.
Okay, that could have been probably better established. Okay, so that's...
I guess maybe they felt like the fact that he was on a rowboat and going out to open sea was enough of an explanation, I guess.
Suppose. Again, I thought he was rendezvousing with a ship further out, but that could just be a misinterpretation then on my part.
Fair enough.
But he did look very piratey though, so I'm like, oh, okay.
He was a... Well, that's, in all fairness, pirates are just the bandits of the sea.
Yeah, that's fair. Like I saw him, and the first thing I thought was, "Oh, Pirates of the Caribbean showed up."
Yeah, but no, he was a mountain bandit.
Oh,
But
okay.
again, now people who stuck with the anime and manga all the way up to where it currently is, um, we like it's a bit of an understanding of why Shanks was his like was Luffy's only influence of what a pirate should be.
Hmm.
If you want, I can reveal that reason because again, it's going to be years if you only watch the live
Hmm.
action.
Well, I can I because I'll say, and I think I did say this to you before we started streaming that like I have enjoyed this so much that I kind of want to start the manga.
And
Like
I imagine that's what Oda's probably hoping
yeah,
for.
and whether the show was good or bad, and it was the same thing that happened with the
Cowboy
Netflix
Bebop, you
cow.
said.
Yeah, yeah, it's more people were going to the anime instead, which is great.
Out of
Sorry.
curiosity, then, would you try and start off where you left off in the live action, or would you start fresh with the manga?
Oh no, that's a good question.
Because the thing is, the story, like this, there are similar story beats, but the story does, as I've mentioned, like Boogie is in this way more than he is in the manga.
Hmm.
And there are certain and I said Zoro. Now, when I say Zoro fights 95% plus with his three sword style, and again, I've already laid out the hints that like the fight with the whole thing with Kuro is vastly different. They have made vast changes. They have the same story beats. It's just they are different. The execution of the story beats is different.
Okay.
Like even the interaction with Axan Morgan is vastly different.
Hmm. Okay then. Because that's a good question. I think if I had watched the anime first and then moved to the manga, yeah, I'd probably just go to wherever
Yeah.
point I'd be at in the manga. But as this is like just like an adaptation, like a live action adaptations, of course there are going to be like, as you said, as you pointed out, there are differences. So I probably would start from the beginning in the manga
Mm.
just to see like how different it's like if like again like I've only started reading Lord of the Rings recently, even though I've grown up with the films. So I do want to see like the differences between
Yeah,
book and film,
which is
which are
like, there's not as many as you would think,
no, but
which is
well,
shocking.
true. Well, that's Peter Jackson. He wanted to make a good
Yeah.
adaptation. But yeah, no, I probably for manga, I probably would start at the very beginning, just because again, I think the live action adaptation, like even as someone who hasn't watched One Piece or
Mm.
consumed the manga, like even I can tell, right? There's differences clear. Like again, like when I watched my introduction to Dragon Ball was Dragon Ball Evolution, and even I could tell that was a shit
Oh
adaptation.
God, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
Yeah, no, that was that wasn't the best. Like even as someone who knew nothing about Dragon Ball, all I could think of was, well, this is shit. And then I found out it was an anime, and I was like, I wonder how people thought of that. And but yeah, I was not surprised to find out how much that film is hated.
Yeah. Oh God.
So,
Okay. So um, that's about all my questions for the first for episode. Actually, how did you feel about episode 3 being pretty much mostly set up and flashback?
didn't mind it, I guess, because again, especially for a story that kind of goes on for the length that this one does. Like you're going to want to just establish
Mm.
the setting, which of course the mansion, just all the
Mm.
characters,
So,
and then of course the
so you
like
don't
all the
feel like
pieces.
so you don't feel like there has to be action in every episode.
Of course not. No, like I think when you can have, as long as you have the character moments being genuinely interesting,
Mm.
like you can make it work. Like again, like I know you said Oppenheimer isn't like your type movie, but like that movie is like mostly talking and like
Yeah.
developing the nuclear bomb.
Well,
Didn't feel like 3 hours for me. Like it was just
yeah.
very interesting, just
Yeah,
going
yeah.
through all of
Well,
it. You
no
know.
fair. It's like I suppose with the concept, you're going into that with the concept like this is going to be vaguely educational. With
Fair,
Oppenheimer,
fair.
with One Piece, what was your idea of going into One Piece? Like, what were you
Um,
expecting?
honestly, just a pirate adventure. Like that's genuinely, I was thinking like kind of along the lines of Pirates of the Caribbean kind of thing, like a kind of fun, kind of swashbuckling kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, like even those movies did have their kind of their character moments where they
Yeah.
just kind of slowed down a bit just to discuss the
Mm-hmm.
things.
So
for whether you like them those parts or not. But I felt that yeah, I don't mind episodes that take the time
did
to like establish.
on your comparison, like what you were expecting, did it subvert your expectations at all, or
Uh,
or was this pretty much the Pirates of the Caribbean trip that you were expecting?
um, I'll subverted my expectations that it's actually good. Because even though I didn't grow up with One Piece, like again, anime adaptations seldom work out. So I was
Yeah,
expecting, so knowing this was actually good. Like even again, like even someone who isn't a fan, I was like, yeah, I like this very much. Um, I think it subverted my expectations in that I had more fun with it than I expected to,
mm-hmm.
which I think is good. That's high praise. Like I was
Okay.
expecting to enjoy it, but I didn't expect to not only enjoy it but also think to myself, I want to read the manga now.
Which
Like
is
I didn't.
1,100 sub chapters.
Yeah,
But hey,
but
if you read a chapter a week,
honestly, it's I'll take the 1,000 sub chapters over a TV show that has like
no
a
heart.
plethora. No, a plethora of filler.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well,
Um,
if to be honest,
but yeah,
I would. There are plenty of guides online now where you could skip the filler. Like when I rewatched the anime, I skipped the fillers.
fair, yeah. Like I can't. Like it's one of the reasons why like I get it. People are out there are shonen fans. That's fine. But it's one of the reasons like I skipped the Naruto anime. I skipped Dragon Ball Z. Like there's too many, and I'd rather like even Naruto. I tried reading
You
the
want to
manga.
get to the heart of the story.
Yeah, just get right into it. Like here's the story. Here's the characters. Here's the setup.
I will say
Um,
though, the only thing with fillers I will defend is vaguely was Bleach. Sorry, no. Like there are a couple of good fillers in Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece. Surprisingly, Bleach, it was the Bounce Saga with the sort of like vampires of of that world, and in Naruto, the only good filler, in my opinion, was the filler with with the Tree Tails, or Tide is also the like. I would only watch one of these fillers in a single watch, rewatching of Naruto. I wouldn't watch both of them. I'd be like, which one am I going to go with this time? I can't do both. I'll do only one. There's one where there's a monk who has essence, like he has a small amount of the nine-tailed fox chakra. He doesn't have all of it. He can only go up to a certain amount of stages. He's basically like an artificial Jinchuriki. But everyone hates him because of that. Like, so he has a similar upbringing to actual Naruto. So it's very good, and this is in a monk monastery, so even the monks are treating him horribly.
right.
So there's a bit of extra tragedy to it.
Okay.
The other is again the one with the tree tails, and we see this like crystal jitsu user.
Crystal.
She uses crystals. She's pretty cool, and it's also, and again, the anime did try to give some more interactions between Hinata and Naruto, even because like again, it was the author's, like it was that author's idea that Hinata was meant to be the main female lead, but because of tropes and he wanted to break the tropes, he decided to downgrade her to trying to be a side character, which I feel like he should have just kept her in.
Honestly, it didn't work in the development's favor because again, once like Naruto and her get together, it is very much out of left field because there's more development time between him and Sakura than there is between Hinata.
He should have just bit the bullet and gone with the trope.
Yeah, like didn't even have to be. There are ways to make the trope interesting and unique, which I've seen other anime do that as well, and not even anime, but just like other works of fiction. So you can make it work. It's just like not making it as cliche.
Before closing off this interview, so you can get to the other bits. We probably won't be doing the interview until maybe tomorrow or Wednesday.
That's fine. That's fine.
We wouldn't be doing it again today.
Yeah.
But because you talked about how the actor who plays Luffy was brilliant.
Mm.
Would you be interested? You would probably not be surprised to know that he actually then met with the Japanese voice actress who plays Luffy.
I did see
And
that for
yeah,
the when they were doing the public, not the PR stuff. They were like,
yeah,
"Oh yeah, meet the original voice actors." Like, oh, that's
oh
cool.
yeah,
That's wholesome.
and impromptu. Now apparently, now they did get a picture of it and they did use it as part of PR, but apparently no one was aware that this was happening. She brought a straw hat with her, and she made him kneel in front of her, and she passed the hat on to him in a very much way Shanks did it to Luffy.
That is very wholesome. Actually, I quite like that, and it's a
Yeah,
nice way of kind of because, of course, again, there's going to be this show will bring people in that have never watched One Piece.
yeah,
Again, for myself, for example, so it's a nice way of kind of bridging the two different viewerships together, kind of thing.
mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's very wholesome.
All right, so I'll let you go. I have an hour to do D&D prep.
Oh, that
um,
sounds like it'll be fun.
oh yeah, we're still going through Dragon Heist.
Ooh.
The players, we've taken a bit of a break so that the players could steal a submarine. Even though the submarine was not their objective, they're like, let's steal a submarine.
Fuck it, it's D&D.
Even though they already own a bigger, much better submarine, they're like, this submarine is in the design of a manta ray. Let's steal it and then get the jury rigged so it can attach to our bigger submarine.
You can never have too many submarines.
Yeah, but the thing is, the submarine that they already have is in the design of a turtle, and it can fly and go into space. And yet they want the smaller Hammerhead submarine.
Oh, that's why I love D&D. You can do whatever the fuck you want, and there's no very little consequences.
All right. So, with that being said, thank you for giving me this part one of this interview.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah, I was happy to hear your thoughts.
I was happy to give them. I find this very fun.
Mm-hmm. So this is the Celtic Nerd signing out. One name, one sky.